Oh, hello. Welcome to another Tabletop Impulse video. We're going to be looking today at the Kasrkin. So, the faction rundown for the Kasrkin, new team coming out on Saturday. So, Kasrkin kill team. We got Recon, Seek and Destroy, Security. Not seen a team with a choice of 3 for a while. That's really good. Probably going to take Security most of the time. Obviously, if you haven't seen my sort of rundown video, different archetypes and which ones are better and why and what's in each deck, do go and find that on the channel. It's really cool. I think so anyway. Obviously, and bear in mind, if you play Into the Dark, the decks do differ in terms of what's good, so it's great to have a choice of 3 of the 4 possible decks. Brilliant. So your operatives, you're going to have a sergeant, and they're following the new paradigm for sergeants. So you've got to choose between the better combat weapon, the power sword, or the better melee, the better ranged weapon, the plasma pistol. So you can either take a plasma pistol and a chainsaw, which is what I recommend that you take, or you can take a hotshot las pistol and a power weapon, or a bolt pistol and a power weapon. I will say the hotshot las pistol and the bolt pistol, it's a cosmetic choice. So whichever seems, if you really want the power sword, then you're taking either the bolt pistol or the hotshot las pistol, depending on what seems cool to you or what you want to use for 40k or some other deciding factor. Because in kill team, those two things are identical. And then alternatively, you can give your sergeant a hotshot las gun, same as your basic guys. You can argue that you might want to do that because he does have a support similar to Phobos. He has a support role while he's on the table. He generates you points, not command points, but points for their mechanic. Maybe you want to hide him at the back, but I actually find the killing power of a plasma pistol, I should say, is too much to pass up. Then you've got what this breaks down to is if I just get the laser pointer. So you've got these 4 gunners. So flamer, grenade launcher, volley gun, and melter gun, and plasma gun. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gunners. But then you've also got the sharpshooter, and it says here your team can include no more than 4 Kasrkin gunner and Kasrkin sharpshooter operatives combined. So effectively, you've got this gunner slot, counting the sharpshooter as a gunner, and you've got to pick 4 things to go in that slot. Out of the flamer, the grenade launcher, the hotshot volley gun, the melter gun, the plasma gun, the sharpshooter. And this is the only real bit of team building that you've got, right? Yeah, you can choose different sergeants, but 99 times out of 100, you're going to pick the plasma pistol and the chainsword. So really, this is your team building and your flexibility. You are 2 models short. You have box. You have 10 in the box. You'd look to get an extra 2 models to have all of the options, right? However, if you're building the box, well, we'll get onto that when we get to that slide, right? But you're building 4 of those, and leaving 2 of those on the table. And then the rest of your team basically writes itself. You've got a combat medic, a demo trooper, a recon trooper, a Vox Trooper, and you're forced to take 1 standard trooper to round out the team for 10 operatives total. Right, abilities, or ability in this case. This was already really spoiled on Warcom, so a lot of people have already thought quite a lot about this. Elite, basically. You start the battle with a pool of 10 elite points. Each time a friendly Kasrkin operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, in the roll attack dice step of the combat or shooting attack, you can spend 1 or more of your elite points to adjust 1, but only 1 of your dice. For each point you spend, add 1 to the dice result and reduce the number of elite points in your pool by 1. And then there's an example. It's kind of like mini faith points. It's a bit weaker than faith points because you can only affect 1 dice in your dice pool. But also it's a bit stronger than... strong is the wrong word. It's easier than faith points. There's less analysis paralysis. There's 1 effect. You can add points to it, right? You don't have to decide, well, am I going to pay this much resource to turn this into a pass? Or am I going to pay this much resource for a reroll? I'm not sure which I want to do. So it's very low. It's akin. It's dice manipulation. It's akin to faith points, but it's really low cognitive load, which I think makes it in a way better, but it is less powerful. Excuse Diet Coke. Right, now we come into the Kasrkin Sergeant. So we get the look at our basic stat line. It's not great, I have to say. Move 3, 2 APL, GA1, Death 3, 4 up save, 8 wounds. 8 because he's the Sergeant. There's 7 wounds base, just like Novies. And he's BS3 because he's the sergeant, their BS4 base, as I'm sure you have heard on the internet, the sort of outrage. We kind of assumed they were going to be BS3 base with the sergeant being BS2, but no, they're BS4. We'll talk more about that at the end, but some people are disappointed by that, that's true. So we can take the guns again. This is really just reiterating what I said at the start. The bolt pistol, 4, 3 up, 3, 4, range red. The hotshot las pistol is exactly the same stats, so that's just a case of which one you prefer. The plasma pistol is I think where we're going, and then you get the chainsword with that, which is fine. 4 dice hitting on 3s, 4, 5 ceaseless. If you really want the power weapon to get the 4, 6 and the lethal 5 up, it's there. But the benefit that it gives, it's one of these things. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make that be a bit of a choice that you have to make, so you don't just go for the best stuff. But at the same time, power swords look cool, and it's a shame that you can't put the cool things on the model to make the model the coolest model it could be. Because actually, I can't see a single logical reason why anybody would want to forego their plasma pistol just to get an extra point of crit damage and swap ceaseless for lethal 5 up, which is all you get. If there was a power fist on there, I could maybe see it, but still probably not. For a power weapon, it's just not worthwhile. Potentially, you want to go for a hotshot lasgun, which is just 4 shots, 3 up, 3, 4. Only because he has this leadership ability. So while everybody's on the table, you get an extra 2 elite points, right? So you can then have your 10 elite points that you start with, plus 2, 4, 6, 8. So 18 elite points total. If he stays alive for the whole game, he's nearly doubling your amount of elite points. That's probably pretty good. Like, I've not played them, obviously, but that's probably pretty good. 10 plus 8. So maybe you want to hide him at the back. But in this team, there's already a lot of things that don't kind of mind hiding at the back. And I kind of worry they're going to end up with the same problem I have with novitiates, where your stuff that can kill stuff dies, and then you're left with lots of models, but individually none of those models are very good. So I would sooner take another killy piece and go forwards and kill with it, and risk him dying and risk losing the elite points than sit there with loads of elite points trying to kill things with my hotshot lasguns. But that's just me. Right, so the sharpshooter and the gunner, I've put these all on the same page. So they've got the standard infantry stat block. 3, 2, 1, 3, 4 up, 7. I've put them all on the same page because they compete for these slots. You're taking 4 of these combined. So let's start with the sharpshooter. The sharpshooter's interesting. In that he can shoot his gun. Let's just check here. So the hotshot lasgun, 4, 3 up, 3, 4, and the sharpshoot option is 4, 3 up, 3, 4. So he has the extra point of BS, the same as the sergeant does. He can shoot his hotshot rifle as a normal gun, or if he is able to use the snipe shot because he's not moved, because it has heavy, he's able to use the silent 4 dice hitting on 2s, 3, 3, mortal wounds 3, which is a pretty good sniper rifle profile, hitting on 2s and 6 damage on the crit, 3 of them being mortals and silent, is pretty good. Camo cloak, each time a shooting attack is made against its operative in the roll defense dice step of the shooting attack, before rolling your defense dice, if it's in cover, you can retain additional dice. So if you can get him in cover, especially if you're lucky enough to have advantage with cover, then he's really a happy man and he's going to dominate the table quite handily. Meanwhile, on the gunner side, I feel like we know what all this stuff does. It's the standard Imperial kit. We've got a flamer, we've got a grenade launcher. The hotshot volley gun is quite novel. So the hotshot volley gun is 5 dice hitting on 4s, 3, 4 fusillade P1. So it's basically it's got an extra dice over the volley gun. It's got P1 over the volley gun, and it's got fusillade. It's okay. Melter gun does what a melter gun does. Plasma gun we know, and then of course the gun butt. So generally speaking, in the open world, I would want to take a sharpshooter, a plasma, a grenade launcher, and a volley gun. I think those are the best choices for generically for the open world. If you're playing into the dark, then maybe that you sub in the melter gun and the flamer in place of the volley gun and the sharpshooter. A lot of people other people are saying you always want the sharpshooter. I'm not sure you want a heavy silent sniper guy into the dark. I'm just not sure it's going to work. You're going to get one shot with it. because you can't move into a room and shoot it, so you're going to get one shot with it before you're charged and killed, rather than 2 shots that you'd be getting with something else, right? So yeah, I would drop the sharpshooter and the volley gun into the dark to get the flamer and the melter. And then in the open world, if you know you're playing against an elite team, I might sub the volley gun for the melter, to be fair, in the open world, because against a 6-man elite team, you can afford to kind of kamikaze your melter into somebody. Like, if you have a melter and you kill someone with it, and then they kill your melter because you had to get in really close, you've lost your melter, but you've killed a guy with, that's kind of what your melter's there to do. You've got 9 guys, they've got 5. Like, I'm fine with that. And maybe they can't kill your melter, and the melter gets 2 kills. Whereas the hotshot volley gun against elites isn't going to achieve that much. So, because of how many elites there are in like the world, I would probably build, if I had 1 box and I was doing nothing else with it, I'd build a sharpshooter, a plasma, a grenade launcher, and a melter. Even though I think that I've put here the volley gun is the sort of the standard slot, but there are so many elite teams that I kind of wonder if playing an elite team is actually should that be considered the norm or the baseline, and then it's like, oh, if you happen to be playing against a non-elite team, here's the things you could take. So I don't really, make your mind up about that based on your local meta, I guess. Right, and now we're on to the things where, so there's not, in massive contrast to the Necron team we ran through the other day, there's basically not a lot else to discuss, is there? There's a medic. He is a medic. He does medic things. You could read all this, and it would tell you that he's a medic. I'm glossing over it. Medics are really good. There are lots of teams out there that don't have medics that would kill for a medic, but they're not very good from a YouTube point of view. He does medic things. He's a medic. That's good. The Demo Trooper. The Demo Trooper, I think, is the best version of a Demo Trooper that we've had. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's the best version of the Demo Trooper that we've had. So his mine has a 4 dice, hits on 2s, 4-2, mortal wounds 3, so 4-5 with 3 of them in mortal wounds, AP2, and it's proximity. So the way the proximity works, you place it down within an inch of you and more than circle from enemy operatives. You can only do it once, so once you've done this, you become a normal trooper. The first time an enemy operative moves within the circle of the operative's melter mine token, make a shooting attack against each operative within circle of that token with this weapon. Blah, blah, blah. So basically what this means is that your models can move around the token without setting it off, no problem. But if the enemy sets it off, your models will be caught in the blast. But that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And then it's got this blast padding, which I think is mostly thematic. It says here basically, each time a shooting attack is made against its operative, if the ranged weapon has the blast special rule, or makes the shooting attack against its operative within range of a specified point, e.g. melter mine, in the roll defense dice step of that shooting attack, you can reroll any or all of your defense dice. In addition, the operative is unaffected by the splash X critical hit rule, unless it is selected as the target shooting attack. It's kind of meh. It's mostly thematic. I guess the main use I can see for this is if you've put your mine down and you've got this Demo Trooper running around and the enemies put a mine down, you go run this guy into their mine, right? Like, you go run this guy into their mine as a proximity mine to detonate it, right? Maybe hurting some of their guys, and maybe, then you've cleared the way and your guys can come in and take the objective or whatever. So maybe that's basically the point of his blast padding. Once you send him to go disarm with his face the other enemy mines that they might have dropped from like their Phobos guy or whatever else has proximity. Recon Trooper. So the Recon Trooper has 2 really good abilities. He has Reconnoiter Kill Zone. So in the scouting step, after resolving your selection, you can resolve an additional recon option, even if you've already selected that option. Initiative is still determined by the original selection. If both players have this or a similar ability, the defender resolves the ability first. So it's a strong ability because you can do double dash, double order flip, which are both strong. In the dark, you might want to consider double barricade because of the lack of light cover in the corridors and into the dark. If you consider that you might want a double barricade, and if you're making Scions your main team, then you'll need to get an extra barricade miniature because you'll need 4, right? You'll need The two that everybody uses, the one from your primary placing of a barricade, and then the one from the secondary placing of a barricade. Now, those of us that have been in Kill Team a long time have got now 8 barricades, loads of barricades from the second box. But if you've been splitting your barricades with friends, you've been giving them away, you're doing things with them, then maybe you don't have all the barricades that you need. So maybe you want to get an extra barricade if you're going to go into main Cadians to throw it in your box. So you've got the 4 barricades there for that. Then you've got the one Auspex, which is another version of Auspex. It has pros and cons, for sure. So select one enemy operative until the end of the turning point. Each time a friendly Kasrkin operative makes a shooting attack against the enemy operative, the ranged weapon that that friendly operative is equipped with gains a no cover special rule for the shooting attack, and the enemy operative is not treated as being in cover for the specified purposes of the elimination pattern strategic ploy and the neutralized target strategic ploy, which is actually pretty cool, and we'll get onto those when we get onto the ploys. You can't perform it within engagement range. It's really nice in that you can just mark a model, you don't need to be able to see them, you don't need a range limit, so you can be sitting at home on an objective, doing what you want. You can go, that guy's not got no cover and doesn't count as being in cover for these special rules. Notice that he still counts in cover as being in cover if he's concealed, so it doesn't do the thing everybody wants it to do, which is count as like being on vantage point and let you cancel concealment. But I think in terms of the fact that it's infinite range and doesn't require line of sight, that makes it really cool. Your Recon Trooper can basically just sit in the back of your base, doing whatever you need to do, standing on objectives, that kind of thing, and still be contributing to the battle, which is good. Yep, the Vox Trooper. So the Vox Trooper has potentially the best Vox in the game, because again, he doesn't need range, he doesn't need line of sight. Turns out the thing that you get when you're the most elite Cadian on Cadia doing Cadian things is you get some walkie-talkies, so you can talk to your Vox guy from behind a wall. Pretty good. So you can select one friendly Kasrkin in the kill zone, add one to its APL. The operative can perform the action twice in its activation, but can't perform the action while within engagement range of an enemy operative. So this guy can literally stand behind a wall. Even better if there's an objective that he can be standing on and just claiming, and just go, I give out both of my APL to the guy with the plasma gun and the guy with the volley gun or whatever it may be. Like, it kind of means you're playing a 9-man team, but 2 of your guys have 3 APL, effectively, I guess. And then you've got the option, if someone comes close to you, you need to defend your objective, you can decide to shoot them instead, which is fine. Trooper, so your basic trooper that you're forced to take, one basic trooper. He's cool because he has an ability, so he has elite trooper. Each time this operative makes a shooting attack, you can spend 1 elite point for free during that shooting attack, even if you haven't got any left in your pool. It's nice that they've given him something to do. You have to take 1. It's not enough, by any stretch of the imagination, for me to consider wanting to take more than 1 and forego any of the other things, but it's pretty cool. Right, onto the equipment. Just like the Necrons, I find the equipment quite disappointing. There are some gems in there, though. So we've got the foregrip, which can only be given to an operative with a hotshot lasgun. Each time it performs the Overwatch action. For that action shooting attack, don't worsen the ballistic skill characteristic of the hotshot lasgun it's equipped with as a result of performing an Overwatch action. It's fine. It's cheap. You've got what, 5? You've got 5 hotshots lasguns, ideally, because you've got your 4 gunners and you've got your boss, and they've not got hotshot lasguns. So you've got 5 on the other half of your team. You could do worse than spending 5 points to give them all 4 grips, but as a 10 model team, how often are you overwatching in the overworld? Now, in Into the Dark, it's a different kettle of fish, because you can choose to go on guard, which counts as an Overwatch attack. So maybe in Into the Dark, and the problem is this is going to be a theme with a lot of the equipment. I'm going to say that's really good in the dark. Possibly in Into the Dark, you want to spend 5 points on 4 grips for everybody. I don't know. Long range scope, 2 EP. You put it a hotshot lasgun or a hotshot marksman rifle. The hotshot lasgun or hotshot marksman rifle has the following critical hit rule. Each time a friendly operative makes a shooting attack with this weapon against a target more than red from it, in the roll attack dice step of that shooting attack, if you retain any critical hits, it gains the no cover special rule for that shooting attack. I mean, it's 2 EP, And you've got your Auspex, which means that your entire team, if they want to count somebody as having no cover, you can turn that off. So how likely are you to be getting the bead on 2 different enemy targets who are in cover but otherwise valid targets? Like, it's a lot of what it does, and it's a lot of what it does in the context of having the Auspex guy in your team. So it's a bit of a miss from me. The adrenaline shot, once per battle, so 1 EP, once per battle, when this operative is activated, you can use this ability. If you do so until the end of the activation, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the operative's APL and movement characteristics. I mean, that's pretty good. Annoyingly, it's another thing to track, because you're not going to spend, I spend all 10 of my points on this, right? It's probably not, because there are other things that you probably want. So you're not going to go, I spend all 10 of my points on this. So then you're going to have it on some of your guys and not other of your guys, and you need to keep your head around when you've used it and when you've not. But out of everything we've talked about so far, I think it's the most useful, right? So we've just got the grenades left to go. We're going to be taking a crack grenade, don't worry. We've got the grenades left to go. I think you strongly want to consider the adrenaline shot is what you spend on whatever you have left after you've bought your grenades. Oops, hang on, back. Some people are going to say I'm wrong about that probably, and I'm missing why the foregrip or the long range scope are secretly good. I just don't see it. Right, frag grenade is a frag grenade. Lots of people swear by them. I don't really rate them. Next, the crack grenade is a crack grenade. Yeah, reluctantly you take your 1 crack grenade. Maybe you put it on your basic trooper. Cool. Decoy grenade. This is really interesting. So decoy grenade's 2 EP, and it gives you an action. Decoy grenade, 1 action point. Select 1 point in the kill zone within red of this operative. Roll 1d6 for each operative within 2 circles of that point, subtracting 1 from the result if the operative is not visible to this operative. On a 4+ until the end of the turning point, the operative cannot perform guard or overwatch. If they're already on guard, they're no longer on guard. The operative can only perform this action once and can't perform the action while within engagement range of an enemy operative. Now, I'm going to caveat this with 2 things. First is to say, I don't really normally like things because they have a dice roll in them, right? That sucks. And I've not actually played any Into the Dark yet. But it seems like this will be... It seems like Into the Dark, on some level, will devolve into standoffs around doorways, and you may find yourself having to run a model into a doorway knowing he's going to get some guard shots just to break the stalemate and follow it with the rest of your guys. And a weapon that really interacts with that you can kind of lob it into a room and try and neutralise some of those on-guard models is, I think, really positive. I think that's a really cool, interesting piece of kit. I don't know how useful it is in the open world when you're only really knocking out your enemy overwatchers, not really knocking out anything else useful. Like, you're going to have to be very cagey with the model that has this and use him last and everything else. But I think in Into the Dark, I would want to at least try out this decoy grenade and see what difference it makes. Stun grenades, I remain not being a great fan of, so it's the same idea. You nominate a point, roll d6 for each operative within a circle of the point, subtract 1 not visible. On a 4-up, you subtract 1 from the APL. I just find that less useful because, like, the stun grenade is preventing them shooting you, preventing you from dying, preventing you from creating damage, and then you've got other activation, another action point you can spend, other things you can do. The stun grenade, you do it, they lose some APL. I can't explain why I think the decoy grenade gets away with needing this dice roll mechanic, and the stun grenade kind of doesn't. And yet, Games Workshop obviously think the stun grenade is better because they give it 3 EP. So I would be taking, Into the Dark, I'll take a decoy grenade for 2, I'll take a crack grenade for 3, which is 5, and probably 5 adrenaline shots, you know. And in Overworld, honestly, I'm probably going to take 7 adrenaline shots and a crack grenade. I'm probably wrong about foregrips. Maybe you want to take foregrips, especially Into the Dark. I don't know. I'm not particularly married to the adrenaline shot, but I think it's the best thing in there, and it's spammable. So yeah, lackluster equipment lists seem to be a theme at the moment, in my humble opinion. I miss the equipment lists that were like, oh yeah, take that and that and that, and you're done, and that's what you take. Yeah. Ploys. Let's look at the ploys. So elimination pattern. 1 CP. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Kasrkin operative makes a shooting attack with hotshot weapon, excluding the sniper profile, against a target not in cover, the weapon gains P1 for that shooting attack. A hotshot weapon is a weapon which includes hotshot in its name, e.g. hotshot, lasgun, etc. So the first thing this means is that you definitely just want to put the hot... If for some reason you were taking the power sword sergeant, you may as well take it with the hotshot pistol, because at least then you can get P1 with this ploy, and that makes it slightly better than a bolt pistol. Unless you just really love bolt pistols. It's a nothing, though, because you shouldn't take the power sword. But if you was, I'd take it with the hotshot pistol. But if you're taking the power sword, you're doing it because of rule of cool, and so you're not going to do what I tell you to do because of a really marginal gain from a ploy. Probably. It's okay. Like, you probably only have 5 or so hotshot lasguns. It does have synergy with Auspex. Remember, the Auspex stops from counting as being covered for purposes of this as well. It's probably not an every turn thing. To be honest, where I see this being useful, the way I think it's going to go with Kasrkin, right? You're going to start the game. You're going to have your plasma gun, your plasma pistol, your volley gun potential. Well, the volley gun would benefit from this, to be fair. That's another thing with a volley gun. Your grenade launcher. They're going to go for your priority targets. They're going to kill those 3 or 4 guys that can really kill them. Maybe not the sniper, because he's tough to kill. And then you're going to get to turn 3, and you're going to have to try and win the game with your hotshot guys, right? At that point, you're suddenly going, well, elimination pattern's 1 CP, and it's buffing all this stuff at the back end of my team that was kind of standing behind the really killy guys that have hopefully at least traded, and now has to try and do the rest. So at that point, suddenly getting P1 is pretty good. But it's not going to be every turn elimination pattern, I don't think. It's not like doing Bolt of Discipline on a lot of the Marine teams. You probably don't want to do it every turn. Safeguard, 1 CP. Until the end of the turning point, each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Kasrkin operative, if it is in cover, you reroll any of your defense results of 1. Yeah, if you end up with 2 or more operatives in cover, in danger of being shot, then you can pop this. Why not? Clearance sweep, 1 CP. Place one of your clearance sweep tokens anywhere in the kill zone. Each time a shooting attack is made by a friendly Kasrkin operative within 2 circle, which is quite a long way, horizontally of that token, against a target within 2 circle horizontally of the token, in the roll attack step of the shooting attack, you can spend 1 elite point for free. I think this is quite good. I think it's better in Into the Dark, because again, you're boxed into these little rooms and there's going to be a lot of shooting. If you've got a room with an objective in and this token in, then you know that all of your attacks in that room are going to be against other people in that room with that objective in, and the objective means that you know that you're going to have shooting happening in that room. So again, all this stuff that is a buff in an aura, you always think, well, in Into the Dark, that's probably going to be much better. But I think because it's a source of elite points, it's probably something you want to try and use whenever you have the opportunity. I've said each turn in the slide. I think using this turn 1 is optimistic, because you have to use it at the start of the turn. So maybe not turn 1, no. But you're going to try and use it when you can, because you're going to want those elite points, I think. Not played the team. Don't actually know how good the elite points feel. Reposition 1 CP. Select 1 friendly Kasrkin operative that's more than blue from enemy operatives. The operative and all other friendly Kasrkin operatives within blue of the operative move, and more than blue from enemy operatives can immediately perform a free dash. You can't play it in the first turning point. Look, when it comes up and it gets you onto an objective that you wouldn't or otherwise get onto with your movement, then that's clutch, isn't it? You know, if you're a move and a dash away from an objective that you need then to spend an action point on, and you're a 2 APL team, yeah, I'd pay a CP for reposition. If you are a move and 2 dashes away from an objective that you don't need to spend a CP to do something on, again, reposition. So when you need it, it's going to be invaluable. Right, cover retreat, 1 CP. Can I just point out these are all 1 CP, and all the Necron ones are 1 CP, and I wonder if all ploys going forward will just be 1 CP, if we've just decided that's the mechanic now. I don't know. Use this tactical ploy when a friendly Kasrkin operative is activated. Until the end of that activation, that operative is while that operative is visible and within red of another friendly Kasrkin operative that is not in engagement range of an enemy operative, that activated Kasrkin operative can perform the fallback action for one less action point. Games Workshop keeps throwing these fallback things. I think they think we should be falling back a lot more than I am, but then I'm not very good at kill teams, so maybe I should be falling back a lot more than I am, but this doesn't sing to me. Neutralise target 1 CP. Use this tactical ploy after rolling attack dice for shooting attack made by friendly Kasrkin operative. If the target of that attack is not ready and either has an engage order or is not in cover, you can reroll any or all of your attack dice for that shooting attack. Worth saying, this chains with Auspex, so you can take them out of cover via Auspex with this, which is good. And if they have an engage order in cover as well, then you can still shoot. You can still use this on them anyway. So it's, again, if you had advantage and they were in cover, you need to Auspex them to be able to, you know. But I think this is really good when you catch the baddies out in the open and you catch them with their pants down, and you can just go, right, well, now now my BS4 plasma gunner is shooting you, because now I'm re-rolling any attack dice that I don't like. Right, that's brilliant. Okay, that's when you use that with your big gun, against someone who's kind of stood out in the open and you go BS4, and so you go, well, no, you know, neutralise target. There we go. Seize the initiative for 1 CP using the tactical ploy to re-roll in the determining initiative step. Yeah, if you need it and it's there and you can see that you need the initiative, then you spend the CP to re-roll, because as well you can see what they've rolled. If they've rolled a 2 and you've rolled a 1, then it's kind of a no-brainer. If they've rolled a 6 and you've rolled a 5, again, it's not really a no-brainer. You know, so well, it is. It's a no-brainer to not do it, but. Initiative rolls are good like that because you have a lot of information after the dice have both been rolled, because you know what you need to roll into and how likely that is. That's really good. Ficadia is really rubbish. It is 1 CP to buff your gun butts. 1 damage to both the gun butt, to both characteristics of the gun butt. Like, if you're losing and your gun butt guys are in combat and you've got the CP and then you want to go Ficadia, and for LARP purposes, yeah, but I don't think it's going to be a game winner, right? It's going to be I've stopped taking this seriously because I'm losing, so I want to shout stuff kind of affair. Tack Ops on middling, some good, some bad. Vital objective, I think, is quite hard. Reveal a Tack Op in the target reveal step of any turning point after the first. If it's revealed at the end of the target reveal step, select 1 objective marker that friendly operatives do not control to be your vital objective until the start of the next turning point. At the end of any turning point, if friendly operatives control a vital objective marker, score 1. If you achieve the first condition at the end of any subsequent turning point, score 1. So it requires you to be mobile. It requires you to be objectives that... I guess it depends on the map. If you know at the end of turn 1 there's like a central objective that you're not going to be on, and then you want to make it a vital objective, and there's a central objective, and you make it a vital objective, and you've also got like central control, then maybe actually it's quite scoreable. I guess what you need to do is look at the map and work out, well, which are the objectives that I'm likely to be on at the end of turn 1, and then of the ones that are left, how easy are they going to be to capture, or how much are we going to have to kind of grind the opponent off them. Stand fast is just win more. If at the end of any turning point, if you control 2 or more objective markers and friendly operatives control more objective markers than enemy operatives control, you score 1 VP, and if you do it again, you score another VP. Like, fine, yeah, you're winning. Have some extra points. Win more. Tack Ops are always good in tournament play, where the secondaries, like, if you're winning your game, you need to max your secondary points. And if you're not winning your game, then the points differential is kind of irrelevant because you're not going to win the tournament. So if you're really tournament grinding, then actually win more is better, because you don't want to do what I've done before in early rounds of Warhammer World, where you're like, I won, and I forgot to score on my secondaries. So now I kind of can't possibly do as well as I could have done. And plus there are some bad things in security, and there are some cards you can't have in security when you're playing Into the Dark. So for all it is win more, and win more's kind of boring and lame and bad, there are definitely situations when I'd take it. Secure zone. You can reveal this Tack Op in target reveal step of any turning point. If the Tack Op is revealed at the end of the target reveal step of each turning point, place one of your secure zone tokens anywhere in the kill zone, more than red from your drop zone, within 2 of an enemy operative. At the start of the next turning point, remove the token. At the end of any turning point, if a friendly operative is within 2 of your secure zone token, and there are no enemy operatives within 2 of your secure zone token, you score 1 VP. And if you do it again, you score another VP. Now, hang on. You can reveal at the start of a turning point. If it's revealed at the end of the reveal, you get to place a new token down each turning point. Okay. Okay, that's fine. It's pretty good because you can choose when to put it down. Choose where to put it down. So if your opponent has a forward deploy guy, or just runs out one guy really far, like Zimbad's always fun of doing a pawn sacrifice. He'll always say, "Oh yeah, pawn sacrifice, pawn sacrifice." You know, a big part of his tactics is to put a guy out there, get me to kill it, and then I'll be then further forwards, and he'll kill that guy with another guy, something like that. But it can be a way of this ploy can be a way of punishing your opponent for sacrificing models like that, because it will let you place this down within 2 of that model that your opponent intends you to be able to kill, and then when you kill that model and then hold position, you're going to get points. So that's basically, I think Tack Ops quite good. Yeah. Final thoughts: a simple team for those new players that don't like Marines. Like, I think intercessors are probably simpler, especially if you get a veteran player to just tell you which 2 chapter tactics to use, so you're not thinking about it. Yes, the BS4 thing is the element in the room. The element in the room? The elephant in the room. Like, okay. There are people... The Scion drama. So for those of you that don't know, Scions are a compendium team. You can take a Scion fire team. A lot of people take 2 Scion fire teams. They quite like them. They get quite far with them. You can have 4 special weapons, right? But you can't double up, so you can't have 2 plasmas like this team. You can have 4 special weapons. They haven't got a sniper, they haven't got a medic, they haven't got a demo, they have got a Vox, but it's not as good as the Vox in this team, and they haven't got an Auspex. But what they have is orders, including the special Scion order that allows them to do mission actions for free, and they have BS 3+. And a lot of people are literally saying that the Compendium Scions team is better than this team. I think that's wrong. I think it's very easy to read these rules because you were someone who enjoyed playing Scions, and you just wanted to get your Scions, but like with a medic and some bespoke Tack Ops and that, and just be slightly better, and you didn't get that, and now. If I was an internet outrage person, I'd be all like, "Oh my gosh, Games Workshop have made a team, and it's not as good as a compendium team. What are they doing? Don't they even know how to write games? Please subscribe to my channel, I'm outraged." Right, but I try and be a bit more calm and reasonable. Like, it's not the case. I really believe it's not the case that compendium Scions are better. That is hyperbole. Now, you can say that actually I don't think the Kasrkin are going to be a top tier team. Fair enough. I don't think the Kasrkin are going to, be on podiums and being maybe even much in the top half of rankings at the end of tournaments. These are reasonable statements to make, but to say that they are worse than Compendium Scions, I think, is flawed. Outside of very particular, like, I understand that the American tournament scene flirted with some tournaments where like every round was the same match, and they did one of those, and the match was the one where you have to pick up the objectives. And people did really well with Scions, and that was a while ago now, and maybe I made it up, maybe it was a fever dream, I've not had a lot of sleep, but I don't think, I think people need to calm down with the comparing of the Scions and the Kasrkin. I need to play it. I need to play it to understand how good elite points are, and how they feel versus just being ballistic skill 4. I don't think that the loss of the orders is this huge rage-inducing thing. And I think that the things that they've gained, the medic, the sniper, these are really good things. I just think people need to actually play. Don't stop just reading the rules and then going, it's not what I expected, so it's bad. The only people that like change are babies with wet nappies, right? And this isn't what people who love Scions expected. It's not Scions with a little bit of icing on top. It's a different team that wants to work mechanically differently. And that's upsetting a lot of Scions players and people who love the Scions and were doing well with them and were looking forward to getting bespoke Scions are kind of sad that they haven't got bespoke Scions. They've got Kasrkin. I don't think it's necessarily true that Kasrkin are worse than Scions. I also don't think, by the way, the sky is not falling. I don't think, I could be about to get egg on my face, I don't think Games Workshop are about to take away Compendium Scions. If they're the team that you love, I don't think Games Workshop are going to take your Compendium Scions away from you. They didn't take away the Chaos Compendium, even though Bloodied are basically cultists and Legionaries are basically Chaos Marines. Bloodied are slightly different to Chaos cultists. You can still play Compendium Chaos if you really wanted to. Right? Bloodied, I would say, are more similar to Compendium Chaos cultists than Kasrkin are to Scions. So I really don't think that the sky is falling on Scion players. If you want to keep playing Compendium Scions because you just love that mechanic of being able to do mission actions for free, I think you can just keep going. And if you really want to, you could use these models as proxies for those rules if that's what you really had to do in your heart of hearts. But I urge you to give these rules a go. Give them a go. Alright, that's my little mini rant about other people ranting and how I don't rant. But was that a rant? Who knows? I need 86 subscribers at the time of recording to get to 1,000 subscribers, right? I would really love to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. It is the March to 1,000, okay? So please, come on and subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoy my content, if you enjoy my style, that would be really great. And if you have subscribed, honestly, the best thing you can do is if you've got people that you play Kill Team with who like YouTube and tell them about my channel with your actual meat lips on the front of your face. That's the best thing you can do. But otherwise, if you engage by commenting and liking, assuming you're already subscribed, that's really helpful. I'm not going to ask you to click the bell because I fly into an apocalyptic rage when I'm like doing something else on my computer. Like I'm trying to play Darktide and then because I've clicked the bell, it's like, oh, Chapter Master Valrox made a video. Like if I'm on YouTube, I'm going to check all my subscriptions. I do not need a little Windows thing to alert me to the fact that I could be watching a YouTube video right now. If I wanted to watch a YouTube video, I'd have YouTube open on my other monitor. So don't, unless you love the bell and that's how you find out about your content, I don't need you to click the bell. Right, I am rambling. So cheerio, have a nice night, and I'll see you again next time. I'm not sure exactly when that'll be because obviously with the new baby and stuff, my schedule's all kind of whoop. But more videos are on their way about things soon that you might enjoy, so subscribe. Good night, goodbye, and cheerio.